Hello, and I'm sure a lot of you are feeling all kinds of ways right now. Um, I am. I've managed to not shed a tear through this entire ordeal since November. And today, the thing that really, the straw that broke the camel's back was watching Julie James, who is the Sirius XM theater, the Broadway channel. She's the news reporter and also host. And she's sort of connected and she gets her information from very reliable sources. She sort of broke down what's really going on at the Kennedy Center. And you may think, well, the Kennedy Center doesn't involve me. I'm not in Washington that often. I've never done a production there. I've never seen anything there. It doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters because it's the first. And it will not be the last. There's lots to say about this Kennedy Center thing, including that despite the fact that for 50 years of its existence, it's been completely balanced between Democrat and Republican, and Trump came in and fired all the people who leaned to the left and replaced them with his, I don't know, people who like him. And guess what? They elected him as board chair or chairman of the board or CEO. I don't know what. Like the guy who's in charge of the thing, even though he has never seen a show there. He says he's never seen anything there, although everything there is horrible, right? Awesome. Since that has happened, a number of artists have canceled their upcoming shows, even like concerts, sold out performances, and a children's show that was commissioned which had like tremendous response, critical acclaim, and was about to launch a national tour of a little show about a little creature who is in search of themselves and to discover their passions and what makes them unique and special. Basically, pretty much the subject of almost every children's show was canceled by this new board because it promotes individualism, because they don't want children to reach for that. They don't want children to even know that's an option. The arts are in trouble, and we have always been sort of like the resistance in a lot of ways. The arts by nature are communicate truth and beauty and uncomfortable truths. They are subversive, and I think that those in charge know this, and the NEA is losing its funding, and any grant applications in general cannot have words in it like diversity, female, woman, gender, nothing. So any shows that explore those themes will not be funded. Maybe at the local level, I'm really hoping that some like wealthy benefactors who see what's going on come forward and make sure that the arts can still continue until free speech is completely eliminated, which we're moving in that direction. You may not believe me, but believe me, we are moving in that direction. Because free speech gets in the way of the grand agenda of the billionaire class, those who want to be the ruling class and are setting things up to make that possible. I can't tell you how many times on social media I've been called a libtard in the last 8 years or whatever. And a lot recently, just like anything that you say, oh, you libtard, da, 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 you're so stupid. Okay, like, first of all, the fact that you even use that term really betrays your level of intelligence, which is poor. I'm just gonna say that. It's low. You lack imagination. You can't think for yourselves. You had never learned critical thinking because you never read books, you never traveled, you never saw anything outside of your own like little like microcosm, little world that you created. You spend the entirety of your lives gazing lovingly up your own anuses and claiming you see heaven. Um, you don't know anything except your own reality, and you don't care about anything except your own reality. No one but you and those who are just like you matter. And that's happened before in history, and we know this. People who, most liberals who have been educated and their woke colleges, who make them read great authors and stuff, who are great thinkers and who have um, who have helped evolve the world. Uh, that's that's indoctrination in your mind. It's better to be uninformed, and it's better for you to not actually know what great thinkers think, because first of all, you probably won't understand it. um, and somehow the educated became like a dirty word. Education became a dirty word. College and university educations became a dirty word. um, Especially when it comes to women. We're going to see a lot of this. They don't want women educated because they want women to have babies, and as many babies as possible, because desperate people who are fighting for resources are willing to put up with a lot of abuse. And we saw this. Like, someone had to pass a law so that 8-year-olds didn't have to work in factories anymore. Um, and it was liberals who did that. We'd probably still have child labor if it wasn't for people actually standing up for those who could not stand up for themselves. Um, I have been in the arts field for some time. Um, I have somehow managed to eke out a sort of like meager living, piecemealing together projects and teaching classes and private lessons, and um, I painting faces for children in the spring, summer, and fall, which means winter is a tough season for me. And I've done a lot of stuff for free because I'm passionate about it, because it means something. Now, right now, I started a theater company in 2019, and we always like to joke, it's a great time to start a theater company. It wasn't, but we persevered. Like, our first show ever, which was supposed to open in March 20th, 2020, was shut down by the pandemic, which was, I mean, it was like running 100 miles an hour and then all of a sudden like hitting a wall, like, and just not knowing what to do with yourself. Like, we picked up the pieces, we made the best out of a crapo situation, and we made a movie, and that actually won an award. And it's pretty decent, and teachers use it around the country in their classrooms. And we've since done a number of musicals. We did one play, um, which was not that well attended. It was a lovely play that you probably would have enjoyed, but we find that people don't go to plays as much. Um, and we were hoping to change that. But having been around for 5 years, we don't yet have like the widespread like a visibility. Like, people don't necessarily know about us. Everyone who's come to see any of our shows or seen any of them, including virtual projects, have been like, what? Because our shows are made with passion and love for our art, and they come from a real place, and they come from like a real desire to tell stories. And I started it in 2019 with the help of a friend, another woman, Susan, who had access to a space, and then we lost access to that space with the pandemic. And then finding space is crazy because we can't yet afford our own venue, so we sort of like have to go where the wind takes us, and then we have to choose our projects according to what the space will like, um, you know, will be able to accommodate um, reasonably well. And we make it work somehow, but prices of everything are just getting out of control, and we try to keep our ticket price down. so that people can afford to come see really high quality theater for something that's not going to break the bank. Like, we're not charging $60 a ticket. We're charging like 20, 25, sometimes 15 for students and seniors. Um, yeah, and uh, moving forward, we are going to be starting to look into new works, right? We love doing musicals. We can only afford to do one a year because they're incredibly expensive. A lot of people don't understand that. They're really expensive and they take an enormous amount of work. And we have a small crew. We don't want it to stay small. We want people who feel as passionately as we do and who understand the importance of our art to come and join us and help us become a force to reckon with. And, you know, you will be respected. Your talent will be appreciated. We will not look at you and go, oh, well, I feel threatened by you. We will not. We want the most talented people. So as we launch this new works division, play development, I actually, in my earlier days, wrote a lot, and I think the internet sort of killed that, and not to mention, you know, a bunch of other things, including, you know, imposter syndrome, and like, so you could just go on. The list of reasons why these plays have not been pursued for production, at least in a long time, is because it's a long list. Maybe some of you will understand me on that. But it's time to bring them forward, especially since the two major works that I've written, one being a stage adaptation of a classic novel, The Awakening by Kate Chopin, an American writer who paid a dear price for her 1899 novel, The Awakening. Really a dear price. She sacrificed everything, and she sacrificed her career, her life. She died several years later of a cerebral aneurysm. She was run out of society, basically, and her book, The Awakening, disappeared for 50 something years. It wasn't until the women's movement started to take shape in the 50s where it came back and started to you know, be read as part of the syllabi in college classes, and now it is often taught in high school AP classes because the themes are sophisticated and they're challenging. And at the time, you know, she had been the critic's darling. She had written these really adorable stories about life in New Orleans, and you know, just people were following her. She had a successful career, and then she wrote The Awakening, which was a bombshell of a novel because it explored the inner life of women. And in fact, it's called The Awakening because the main character, Edna Pontellier, she doesn't even know she has an inner life, really, except for her like sort of fantasy world that she creates, like you know, like crushes and romance and like all that. She just in her mind a fantasy life, but she has no idea that there's anything for her other than marriage and motherhood, which she enters into not understanding that there may be more. And unfortunately, in the end, she sort of finds out that really there wasn't more at the time. And she couldn't exist as an evolved person, as an artist, as a fully realized woman, a sexual being, and an intellect, someone who, you know, isn't afraid to speak their mind and, you know, go off on their own. You know, at that time, this was considered to be obscene. It was obscene for a woman to have lustful thoughts about a man she wasn't married to. It was absolutely like horrifying, mortifying at the time to think of a woman who's a mother and a wife who just rejects that and realizes this is something that she doesn't really want. She's not natural. She's not a natural wife. She's not a natural mother. And once she realizes that she has just bought into this construct, she ends up like sort of on the outskirts of society. And, you know, I won't spoil it to tell you what ends up happening, but it's not a happy ending because for so long women have been, we've been oppressed in ways we didn't even know we've been oppressed in. I always say that I will die on this hill, but as a Gen Xer, I know that a lot of women in my generation and probably the next one, like a ridiculous percentage of women were sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, you know, all of it. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the patriarchy would crank out these really fun, wonderful, heartwarming films that are beloved to this day, such as The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and Revenge of the Nerds. And before that, the raunchier versions like Meatballs and Porky's and all of that. All of these stories featured sexual assault or you know, boys or men peeping on women and it just being like laughed at like a joke. It was just funny. And you know, we, they were these films trained an entire generation of men that women are just objects for their enjoyment. And the worst part of these films, like, you know, like Breakfast Club is a brilliant film. Revenge of the Nerds was one of my favorite films. I didn't even know that I was being indoctrinated to devalue myself um, and to put up with stuff. Because in all three of those films, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, and Revenge of the Nerds, and probably some other ones, three women were all sexually assaulted. And then they ended up falling in love with the man or the boy who raped them or took advantage of them when they were unable to, you know, unable to say no, like they were incapacitated in some way. Um, and you wonder why date rape was just off the charts in colleges in the like late 80s and 90s. They trained us. The patriarchy trained us. Um, Women were not making films at that time. Like, you should watch Gina Davis's documentary about women in Hollywood. Someone, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but she breaks it down pretty well, including the fact that, did you know, and I bet you don't know this, women basically started the film industry. Because there were no careers for them. So creative women who were driven actually were like, this is a whole new field. We can break into it and make it our own. They were the screenwriters. They were the directors. They were, you know, all of that. They were the producers until the banks, the financiers realized that money could be made off of films, but they were not going to put their money behind a woman. And so all the women were ousted. And it isn't until recently, and even like it's still a fraction of percentage of women who are directors or screenwriters than men. Because they don't value us. They don't think our stories matter. If the stories are not about the patriarchal like norm, particularly white men and their stories, it's all just detracting from them. They feel oppressed. And a great quote, and I can't remember who said it, but the person who has always had the most, who's always just like had the privilege, equality feels like oppression to them because some of that lion's share has been redistributed and they feel like they're the ones under attack. And all this is true. We are seeing this play out in some really ugly ways, and I don't know what's going to happen. I just know it's probably not good. And if, you know, if we do manage to fix any of it, it's going to mean a lot of us are going to have to fight in ways that are dangerous to us. You know, I'm just going to put this out there, like, and I'm going to stand behind this. I am willing to go to prison in order to like stand up to this fascism that is just it's like steamrolling all of us, you know. And those who voted for Trump, voted against their self-interests, they just, all they could think about is owning the libs. That's it. Just, it was an amazing strategy on behalf of you know, the wealthy and ruling class. Just let the plebes think that, you know, by voting us in, they are owning the libs. That was like their greatest goal. They still think they own the libs. What they don't realize is they sold us all out. I mean, they sold America's soul to the devil. And they're going to find out, if they haven't already found out, they're going to find out pretty soon. because all of these sweeping, just like they're just sweeping everything out. They don't care if it was effective. They don't care if it helped people. They don't care if it, improved America's standing in the world. They just don't care. They don't care. All those regulations stood in the way of them becoming the kings and emperors that they believe themselves to be. It is what the Native Americans called, and I don't know what tribe, I apologize, Wetiko. I don't know which language, someone can please fill me in. Wetiko, which is something along the lines of cannibal, but it's not someone who eats the flesh of another, it's someone who eats the life of another. And those who have Wetiko are never satisfied. They never have enough. They just take and they take and they take. So I don't know how much any of us can do, but I am asking. And, although I started Fuse and I'm on the board of Fuse and I'm, one of the lead creators of Fuse, I'm not speaking for Fuse. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and others like me. I would like to see an incredible cast of passionate and just like killer actors come forward and do this work, do this staged reading, developmental reading of The Awakening, because I want to bring forward these themes in a way that is undeniable. And I have a tremendous respect for actors. Like you're all magicians. Like people don't even know. You're sorcerers, right? They don't really know. They think acting's easy. I teach people who are new to acting and they come in thinking they actually tell me I think acting's really easy, like I'm a writer and that's hard, that's much harder, and then they find out that is not true, and they often drop out because they just wanted to like come in and someone go, wow, you're the next De Niro or Pacino or whatever. No, you're not. And if you want to become a great actor, are you prepared to bust your ass for the next 7 to 10 years to learn your craft? And then for the rest of your life to continue to improve your craft, if we even still have a craft when all is said and done, because apparently only stories about white men are appropriate in this new era that we are in. And all of you, everyone who's like, they go on social media and they're like, oh, Hollywood is woke, they're a bunch of woke. What projects exactly would you like to see made? Please tell me what kinds of projects you would like to see Hollywood make, and how much mileage you think you can get out of those ideas. Because to the rest of us, it sounds incredibly boring. Like, those films have been made, those stories have been told, right? They were always told from the white man's perspective. They've been told. Like, you can try retelling them. Good luck with that. Audition for The Awakening. We've had some really good people come forward. We need a much wider pool. There's a lot of roles. And we're going to have one invitation only performance of people who may very well be in a position to, I don't know, do something for any of us, or who can get behind you and or our project in a way that will help move it forward so that Kate Chopin's voice is not lost to history. So many people don't know her. She died for her art. She was ruined because she wrote truth. And in setting out a long time ago to write this piece, my only intention was to bring the novel to the stage in a way that completely honored Kate Chopin's work, that I didn't put my own spin on it. I've seen some other attempts by theater companies, in one case, like a Lifetime type film with Kelly McGillis sometime in the 90s, and they were terrible because they eliminated characters, they combined characters, there was no chemistry between the leads. If there's no chemistry between Edna and Robert, and there's no show. The show has no heart. So I need tremendous actors for that. So we need that. I want to see some sizzle up there. And if you've got sizzle, sign up to audition. Go to fusetheaterct.org and that's theater with an R-E, FUSETHEATRECT.org. Don't go to Fuse Theater because you're going to end up somewhere in like Oregon or Washington, and you'll be confused. And also, please don't send them like a donation thinking it's us, because that happened one time. It was like $900. That was pretty brutal. But good luck. I mean, good for you, Fuse Theater of Oregon or Washington or whatever. I'm sure that you were thrilled to get that money. We needed it more, but whatever. So stuff happens. Yeah, I'm full up. I don't even know what to say. The fact that anyone, like a single American, thinks that this is acceptable. Uh, and I want you to think about your grandfathers and your great grandfathers and what they sacrificed to preserve democracy, not only in this country, but in the world, and to fight fascism. They died. They lost legs. They lost limbs. Um, Children lost their fathers. Women lost their sons and husbands. To fight fascism, and now you're like, come on in, we need you. Yeah, because this democracy thing, it's just, those liberals are just so woke. They're always like trying to make everything fair and equal, and and like they're changing like pronouns and stuff, and we just can't have that. um yeah, I don't know. I pray that all of you are safe. I pray that you can somehow find a way to survive and maybe even thrive in this time. I don't know how anyone can, at least not in our position. Um, I've been canning and cooking and freezing food to try to stock up. Uh, I've been obsessively doing so, in fact, like every day for hours. I'm just, cooking and freezing things and putting things in cans and like, it could really get that bad because our enemies have had a hand in all of this, and they're going to take advantage of the weak spots. Like our Achilles heel, it's not just one, it's many right now, and it wouldn't be that difficult for them to swoop in and, like, I don't know, uh, fuck with the power grid of the entire country. And I want you to think about what will happen when you can't watch or listen to the news, when you can't communicate with people via the internet, when you can't access your money in banks. What will happen to you? Yeah. Serious, folks. We need to keep our stories alive, and we need to keep our truth alive. Audition for the awakening. Thank you.